Let's get on with the weekly tech roundup. This is the 20th one. If you don't know how I do this by now, go back and check out some of the others. This is the AI script that I go through. Hi everyone, welcome back. This has been a whirlwind in the AI and tech world. I dove into everything from debunking viral MIT study claims and surprising shortcomings of custom enterprise AI to breakthroughs on new image models, tiny banana, if that means anything to anyone, and radical shifts in how we design our AI tools. So there's a lot of videos and content on that MIT study. I still haven't had a chance to go and look for it. I've been busy. But going through it, the real gist of what the study was saying was people who use ChatGPT and LLMs, 80% of use cases are positive, 40% get continued into use. The 5% was when it was a dedicated use in enterprise inside of a custom product and they hadn't got it working right or pushed the change management through correctly. So that was really the problem with the study. It was just glorified like clickbait across the internet effectively. The presenter walked through the numbers and showed how mainstream LLMs like ChatGPT and Claude are performing way better than many of the custom tools touted by companies. In one of them, there was a lawyer that had spent 50 grand on the licensing for some custom software, and ChatGPT was performing better for them. We've had a failed pilot like that. We have a tool that was repurposed for a different use case and it would work, but it never got it to the point of where it needed to be. We're getting so much better progressively that that feature was obsolete in our product and you could do it better in ChatGPT. The event even highlighted the shadow AI. So this is a new term that's come in now. This is where employees are using AI even when the companies prohibit them and they're doing it on their own accounts themselves because the official system's uncutting it. So people may use Copilot at work and that's what's authorized, but they don't get a good result from that. So they still use ChatGPT. Number 2, rapid fire AI breakthroughs and product news. Next up was an energetic roundup featuring headlines like Anthropic's Claude for Chrome, which is a new Chrome extension plugin that allows Claude to control your browser on your behalf, similar to what Perplexity's Comet browser is doing. They're just going down the route of a custom browser where I mentioned, I think in that video a couple of weeks ago, that if they built an extension, they could have gotten the same thing done. We have NVIDIA's new 9 billion parameter hybrid model. So NVIDIA has a custom tuned model, a release that's available on their cloud infrastructure. And then we have Nano Banana, the tiny banana, the image model that everyone was talking about last week. And I mentioned at the last recording, that was released now. It's Google Gemini 2.5 Flash image, which means it has the reasoning model behind it, Google Gemini 2.5 Flash, and then it also has the capability of doing images, so it can use its own reasoning to inform and create the pictures better. But most of the demos that I've seen that are quite good are in-image replacements of people or very specific edits without losing the whole image. So that's why they're saying it's a Photoshop killer, because you can Photoshop little things out and not wreck the whole image. So it's interesting. I have to play with that one and see if I can get some new cover images made up for my thumbnails on these videos. I was impressed by how these innovations are streamlining everything from browser tasks to image editing. There's even chatter that Apple might use Google's Gemini to power a revamped Siri, showing how competitive the landscape is. So apparently, yeah, there's conversations that they're going to do that. There's conversations going back from June, I think, and that have been brought up again that Apple may buy Perplexity. Apparently, the leakers said that they're looking at doing an agreement at the moment between Google Gemini and they're evaluating their own internal models. They still haven't released anything. Their Apple Intelligence doesn't do much. They will end up buying someone. I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars they've got in cash sitting there from all their profits. So they're behind now, but then they'll just buy someone and they'll jump to the top. I don't think they'll be doing it themselves from scratch and working their way up like Grok and the X team did. Apparently, yeah, I made a video a few years ago, the smart dumb virtual assistants, where Google Assistant and the Siri were pretty crap at that time. But now Google Gemini Assistant is amazing, but Siri's still pretty shit. Boosting productivity with advanced GPT settings and evals. I've been looking over tweaks and like information on how to use ChatGPT 5 and different way to prompt things. One was apparently detailed 5 new settings that can boost your responses, covering everything from prompting to managing large context windows. And that was like asking the ChatGPT to tell it ask it when you're chatting, how big is the context window? So then you know when you should stop using that window and go to another one, as well as the type of prompting and how much context you need to give it. On a similar note, another video broke down 5 hard-learned lessons of how to build effective evals. The evals, again, quite very important. I'm focusing on that a lot in our business, so that anything that gets put out with client projects or our own internal projects, we have evaluations against all the prompts that we're putting. We're making informed decisions based on the data that we're getting back from these evaluations, and constantly trying to improve our rubrics or our scoring mechanisms to make sure the prompts are the best they can be. And allows us to test models faster to then get better results quicker into the application. Redefining AI interactions and design. There's also a fascinating shift in how we perceive AI as a coworker. In a talk by Craig Watrous, he reimagined AI systems as interactive teammates with new form factors ranging from invisible backgrounds assistants to fully conversational interfaces. I don't remember this one. AI as coworkers, definitely will go there. At some point, Copilot's built into Windows. Not the best or ideal scenario yet, but eventually we will end up having an agent that just does work for you while you're working, or multiple agents, a team of them, and you're coordinating, so everyone almost becomes a manager. And then your job is to issue tasks, design, plan, and review. Alongside this, BlackRock's engineers provided a behind-the-scenes look at their custom Kubernetes native framework for scaling knowledge apps. Apparently, they built a framework which took months initially, but then they could roll out new knowledge apps for staff to then do due diligence on documentation and acquisitions, mergers, and whatever else BlackRock does within days. So their platform really made things easier. And again, this really just drives home, it's not just the model, it's how you put it all together and all the glue around it, because it could be 50 different prompts and chains working together to get you the output that you want, and you just keep refining as you go down. Pushing boundaries, scalability, AGI, and the political landscape. On the more ambitious side, Elon Musk's revelations around his Grok 5 master plan and the power of scaling reinforcement learning compute left me excited about the potential for AGI. I'm glad it left you excited, OpenAI, who wrote this. At the same time, the political side of AI is heating up, with US government buying a stake in Intel. So the US government now owns 9.9% stake in Intel, the CPU manufacturer, largest shareholder by choice. They're now releasing funds to them, which was going to be part of a chip subsidy that was part of America, but Intel hadn't hit the milestone, so they weren't going to get it, but now they will get that full funding. This is, again, longer terms to allow control over Intel, keep them in America, and ensure that chip manufacturing is still happening, because it's a strategic thing now. With AI and everything, we've got NVIDIA and Intel in America. Not all chips are made in America, the NVIDIA ones especially, but Intel is. So they're about setting up new data centers and chip manufacturing facilities, so then there is some control of that on the home market there. And then again, NVIDIA can now sell chips to China. The speculation there is that the government in China would not use American chips. They'll still use Chinese chips, as the same way that other countries use American chips or don't use Chinese chips, like we don't use Huawei chips in infrastructure here. But then companies can end up using them to get better results compared to what the open source models are doing. It's really tied into politics and the changing landscape of how everything's moving at the moment. It's becoming very important. Ethical debates and the illusion of conscious AI. So in the last video I couldn't remember who I was listening to that morning, and this is the recap of that video from that morning. It was Mustafa Suleyman, I think is how you say it. He's CEO of Microsoft AI, was part of Google DeepMind, and another company which I can't remember where. It might have been Anthropic, potentially. He was discussing the danger of anthropomorphizing AI, so saying that it's conscious and it can do these things when it can't, because it's an algorithm, it's a statistical probabilistic output. It doesn't think, it's just following instructions. And those instructions are find me the most likeliest outcome from X to Y. Then someone else did a recap on sort of like they say it's an essay, the article that he wrote on the internet about AI should work for us, we shouldn't treat them like humans. Again, it's just that using that conscious, and then when it turns into anthropomorphizing AI, do you then people start thinking about rights for AI, and we see where that goes in movies. So that's an extreme use case, but is that something we actually need to be doing? Like, it's a computer system. It doesn't think on its own. It follows instructions. AI in media, content and beyond. There's been significant backlash at YouTube over the secretive use of AI to upscale shorts. So what they've been doing is, as shorts are uploading, they've been upscaling them, but then those upscalings are not making them just better quality. There's some like AI artifacts left in behind. The talk around that topic in those videos was that conspiracy theory tinfoil hat is that they're getting us used to seeing this AI content in the video. So if we assume that this crappy looking content is coming from creators, then when the AI content is allowed completely, then we're not going to have a problem with it. So it's sort of desensitizing us to this feature. They shouldn't be testing anything like that in secret. You put in quality and effort into making a video sometimes. Like, I don't know how good quality this comes out, and I try to get it right, but you don't want then an algorithm going in and wrecking the quality without you realizing or doing it. And then I don't really want just complete AI slop going through YouTube and following everything, because there's already those crappy fucking tech channels. If you listen to anything that's got tech in the name, is generally really static pictures and some AI voice going over content and just really talking crap. It doesn't give you much information. There's no personal opinions. There's no engagement. There's no person involved. They're pretty crap ones. Occasionally, you may want something like that, but not all the time. And that's just getting more prevalent in everything that I'm seeing when I'm going on YouTube and on the internet. At the same time, Netflix is also setting clear guidelines on generative AI use in media production. So they're not trying to replace and make AI movies. They're using the AI to help make movies faster, same as everyone else. It's a tool. How do you use it the right way? That could be from storyboarding, quickly getting concepts. We have seen some of these new world models and video models where we can then generate content in the background very fast. So that could be for initial like sizzle reels and other things to get things going. And maybe get to the point where special effects are done that way, but if they can do the in-context editing of videos like they are with images this week, maybe we'll get to that and it'll be much faster, because there is physics simulations happening in those videos, but they don't simulate physics in the real world. So it's interesting how that would potentially turn out and where that's going to go. Closing thoughts. All in all, this week has been a deep dive into both the promise and the pitfalls of the AI revolution. From debunking misleading headlines to celebrating breakthroughs and wrestling with ethical dilemmas, it's evident that AI is reshaping our lives. And it really has reshaped how we operate and do things. I use it multiple times a day, multiple times an hour. ChatGPT is there. I've got 30, 40 tabs open with different conversations going based on all the different projects and ideas that I'm working on. I think one video mentioned it's been 1,000 days. So it's probably been 1,004, 1,003, something like that, since the ChatGPT launch at the end of December 2022. Just think about what's changed in those days and how bad these models were 1,000 days ago to where they are now. If we see that growth, the next 1,000 days is going to be unprecedented again. Every video you see is breaking news, amazing news. It's all these clickbait titles. But the news changes so fast, there's so much information that it almost does feel like that all the time. I think we're going to start seeing less incremental changes in these models. Maybe things go more multimodal, so video, audio, voice, text working together in the same chat in an easier way. You're probably going to start seeing a lot more of the browser things coming up, where you've got these extensions and being able to do things. Definitely having like an agent that can sit there, access your computer and do things with you on your behalf will definitely be coming through in these next 1,000 days. So it's going to be interesting to see where it all unfolds. Well, that's all I've got for this week. As usual, let me know any feedback, any thoughts, ideas on anything I've discussed. If you've got any ideas for what I could do better in these videos, happy to hear it. And as always, good luck staying up with it, keeping up with everything.